How's it going? Welcome back to the channel, episode 13 now. In this episode we will be rebuilding the auto, which is just behind me. We will also make a trans cooler mount for it. We'll modify the radiator to fit. We've also got a new tool sitting right here, I'll show you that in a sec. And we've also finished the engine too, so all we got to do now in episode 14, if you're still around, bolt them together, pop them in, wire it up and send it pretty much. So we're getting there. I know it's been a while between episodes, but life takes over, things get busy, but don't worry, a lot going on behind the scenes, so I hope you enjoy it. If you do, like and subscribe, and that's good times. Here's a new tool, metal lathe. It's not ginormous, but it will get the job done. It is a pretty old looking thing. Still works good, has forward and reverse, single phase so I can use it. At the home garage now we got the lathe and we've also got the mill. Be no stopping us and making parts. So there you go. Alright, so today we're building some engine mounts. The reason we're building these engine mounts is because I think these ones are going to have too much flex and they're going to have a bad time. So this is one I've already made. It has a crush tube in the center inside the pipe. I found these bushes that fit perfectly into this pipe, and then just make some little thingies like this. That slot there is so it can be quite low and still have a gap. And with that gap, it allows it to be the same height as this, so we don't have to change too much stuff. As you can see, once I put a plate on here and have a stud, it'll be the same. So it's a little hard to focus the camera on there, but you can see there is an air gap. So that is sort of what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do a lot of fabricating video on this because, you know, you've seen me cut and weld plenty of things, but I just thought it was interesting. These bushes are from, I'm not sure, a bloke at work had them and he wanted to change them out for standard bushes because they're too hard. Like the Nolithane is quite a rough ride. So here's the throttle body on the LS, right? This is the nitrous plate. It sandwiches in between the two. That's about it. One's fuel inlet, one's nitrous. It actually takes up off this, off the fuel rail. It's got a fitting that comes across and around. So that's how that goes. Bolts onto there, and then all you do is get your throttle body. This is a 3-bolt throttle body. And then it just bolts on in between like that. That's a close-up of the plate. Fuel. NOS. Alright, there you go. Bolt it on. Simple as. Now I'm just going to bolt on like the water pump and a few of the other things like that. The alternator, just the usual stuff. None of that's getting modified or anything, so it shouldn't be an issue. So there you go. Looks cool, pretty sleek. It's better actually on that side of the throttle body. So if you want to come off the gas, you can block it a bit and don't have to have this big charge coming through it, so it keeps on going crazy. But there you go. So I've got the engine pretty much all back together now. I just have to bolt like the flex plate on it and a few other things, but in doing so I've got to take it off the stand, so it's easier if I just leave it on the stand for now. I'm going to pop the auto onto the bench now. I'm going to start stripping that apart and put in a few little goodies we have for that. So that's cool. There it is in all its glory. I'm not going to put the AC bracket on now. I'll leave that off for a while until we get the car up and running again and get it ready for air conditioning, because we do want to run it with aircon down the track, that is. So we'll do that now, and bench is all nice and clean because you don't want to get any like bits of metal and contaminants into the auto. That really wrecks them quick. Yes, that's about it. Let's get into it. So clean. Alright, so firstly, pull the pan off as you do. The way an auto works, this is like a pickup filter, sucks the oil up, bunch of valves and stuff, and a bunch of magic happens, making your car drive using a torque converter. They're actually really cool how they work. That's the filter, it's the valve body, these are all your solenoids and stuff. Got like your shuttle valve, your selector thingy, bunch of other stuff like that. If you're going to try this yourself, make sure you keep it all clean, you know. The oil in this doesn't look too bad. Bit of swarf in the pan, no big chunks of clutch or anything, so I think it was driving alright, the car, but we should give it a freshen up. See, it's pretty clean, doesn't smell burnt either. The car did 250,000 Ks or something like that before it had the wreck in which we got it out of, so you know, that's alright. We'll sort it out anyway. Check it out, we'll check the friction bands out and stuff, and I'll show you what to do when you're putting in like the shift kit and the rest of that sort of stuff. But they're pretty basic. This auto, it's only a 4-speed, it's nothing like a crazy ZF6 with all the stuff, so shouldn't be an issue to do at home. If I need any special tools, I'll probably end up just making them, or I've seen a few people 3D print out like the lips to get the seals over stuff, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Anyway, I'll pull this all apart and then I'll show you what's behind all this. Alright, so what you got to do is take out all these heaps of bolts, heaps of 10 mils, a couple of 8 mils, undo the loom, lift the loom out of the way, and you kind of lift it up, unhook the little selector hooky thing down here that I've already taken off because I already lifted this off once before. The gasket got stuck, but that's alright, so it goes like that. Lift it up. That's the underside, all those galleries. I don't want to mix up these bolts at the moment, so I'm just going to plop it down on a clean rag there. There should be, I think it was 7 ball bearings. There's one there, and the rest have all fallen out, which is lame, but that's alright. I'm just going to get them all out with a magnet. Make sure you get them all. Don't lose any, these are pretty important. There's one there. Keep them in a safe spot as well, obviously. And then that goes there. Let's continue on, have a look inside. After you pull out the pump and all the guts of it, you're going to want to change this sun shell thing. I didn't have my mic on, rookie error, when I filmed this, but what these things do is where the spline goes in, they snap off there, so it's a pretty important part to swap out with the so-called heavy duty one. Inside, like the input shaft drum, there are these 3 seals, and they leak into each other, then you lose like your shifts, so those 3 things there are also important to change out. And here are all the clutches. They're all like really good conditions. I've just checked them all out while I had them out. But the main thing we were doing in this box was the line boost kit and the shift kit. Yet again, no mic. I'm sorry. So inside the pump, you got this little valve, and there's some springs under it. What the shuttle valve thingy, the kit as you get, is like that valve with some O-rings and just some different springs, just to up the line pressure. So helps with slipping and stuff. I got the pump in new gasket. There's a new O-ring to seal the pump. I also changed this front seal because I'm there and I have the bits. So it's got all the new pistons, the new sun shell part as well, common failure point, and we've put in the Sonic's little shift valve thingy, the line booster kit, sorry. Now we'll put on the put the shift kit in, which involves drilling out some holes in this plate and doing some stuff. But like, this is obviously the old gasket and stuff, so no worries. But that's what we're going to do now. So we're putting in the shift kit now. It involves stripping apart some of these bits. Follow these instructions, which are very self-explanatory. And then on that plate just there on the bench, we have to strip apart some of the bits and cut out some holes bigger and all that stuff. So if you're doing this yourself, just read the instructions and it'll be fine. Alright, box is built now. Time to put the pan on, seal the bad boy up. We've put a new filter for good measure, obviously. Why would you use the old one after you've gone through all the effort to do what we've done? But some of you are probably going to say why we went to all the effort to not put all new clutches in it as well. Well, it's because it's hard and there's nothing wrong with these clutches. And I was just doing a shift kit really. So there you go. That's that gasket. Make sure you put this on right. You don't want to block this little hole here, because that's a little venty thing. So this goes like that. Doesn't block the little vent thing. It says to watch out for that in the kit. Anyway, there you have it. Alright, so addressing the situation now, which is the radiator. For it to sit in the car, you can't use these spigots because they don't fit on the Cressida. So what I've done is got this plate and these little cotton reel type sort of mount things, you call them, and I'm going to weld that onto the bottom of the radiator, sort of like that. Just have to notch out these parts here, and then this piece, very high tech, will sit in these existing holes that are already in the car. So sit like that, and then radiator will come up, and then I'll take off some bolts here, and then one here to go around the side of this part just here. So I'm just going to notch that, weld them on, and then I'll show you what I've been doing with the transcooler at the front there too. Alright, I'm mounting up the transmission cooler now. This is a bracket that's like in front of the radiator, part of the support. What I've done, I've just got this piece of plate, 3mm. I cut this hole in it. I'm going to weld this plate on. That'll take up 2 bolts, which is in this. And when I do this, I'll just test fit it. Then I'll obviously make a bracket on the other side, but this is how I'm hopefully going to do it. It's going to be a bit tricky to get to this bolt with a transcooler on here, but got to make do with what you got. Montage. So that's sort of how it's going to go. When this bolts into the car, I'll show you a bit later, it holds it up. It's got that bracket. To support this side, we need to use a piece of steel. So we'll put one like that. It's barely going to block it, you know, so don't freak out. It'll sit that way, so I can weld it onto here, and then I'm going to put another plate along here. That way it'll give it this added strength to stop the flexing, and hopefully that'll be strong enough. We'll try it out, and if not, we might need to put like another piece on here somewhere, but I think it's alright. I just tacked these nuts onto the back side, so they're captive, as you could say, and then that's that. It's coming along. When I finish this, I'll hit it with some black paint, and then I'll bolt it in and show you what it looks like. I've had to make it this sort of angle to clear that fitting through that spot, and that one comes there around the front. That bolt, it's pretty easy to get in, so is the bottom one. I had it bolted in sort of, so that's all pretty good. And it doesn't interfere with those two square holes, because one of them holds the front grille. It's not entirely necessary, but it'd be good to use all we can. When you got the radiator sitting in these little mounts down there, it wants to flop around obviously, so I've made this L-shaped bracket which just sits onto that with the rubber mount, pulls up here. I'm going to drill this and put a rib nut to hold that. That'll do for that side. And this side I will do something a little bit similar, but I might put the nut on this side, or if I can bend it in a way to take up that top existing thing there. So that's that. I'll bolt in the transcooler to show you what that looks like as well, but firstly we'll do this side. Alright guys, thanks for watching this episode. We've got the radiator in now. It's very solid, but it's not solid mounted, obviously it's rubber mounted. Transcooler's in here where I'm shoving my arm down the front here. That's bolted in. That is also heaps cool and solid. It gets decent airflow. It'll get all the grill up underneath too. I will probably make like a little duct for it. I might 3D print out something, or I'll make an aluminium one. I'd like to try and 3D print one, see how it lasts outside in the weather, copping rocks and that. And if it breaks, you can always print another one. So that's all good. We'll do that. Then now all we've got to do is put the engine back in, and a few other little things, you know, like wire it up, little things. That's a joke, by the way. I will paint the subframe that we've modified like a chassis black, trying to get some of that paint. That's about all we got going on. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you enjoy it, and if you want to see any more of this Cressida build. Anyway, thanks for watching.